It was an awful story. Her husband has a land in Transunkisi, 5 plots of land. Her late husband. Now he died. These people are land speculators. They went to the land registry and saw they forged documents.
Talk, talk, all my talk.
Hi everyone, welcome to Omar's Diary 360. My name is Omar. You're very sweetheart on radio, TV, social media, sweetheart everywhere. And here on Omar's Diary 360, I chronicle my journey as a broadcast multimedia social impact journalist. And of course, every of the story that I cover, I try to make sense out of it all, and I see the human angle to every story that I cover. So recently, I was at a court to cover a case of a widow. Do recall that Nigeria is home to about 15 million of the world's 258 million widows. Widowhood is a period when a person has lost his or her spouse. A widow is the woman who has lost her husband, while a widower is the man that has lost his wife. Amazingly, the ways these people are treated differ. Now, depending on the family where this woman was married into, and depending on how the husband treated her when he was still alive, whether the husband left a will or left the property he had to his family members. Some widows have had to go through harsh and tough, difficult situations simply because they lost their husbands and because their families, the family of their husband, wanted to take all the property. At some times, a lot of women who are widows have been made to either drink the water from the cups of their husband because they were accused of killing their husband. Some were made to go through inhumane experiences just to prove that they are innocent of the death of their husband. Some women survive it. Others are traumatized. Others never lived to tell the stories. What happens to their children? The story of Nrs Perpetual Nkwocha, a widow who lost her husband some years back, is one story of a widow that has been traumatized. We'll bring in Majory Eziihe, who is a gender rights advocate, to speak more on the story. Your name and
Okay. My name is Majory Eziihe. I'm a gender advocate and human rights activist. I work as executive coordinator for Sisters with a Goal initiative. We're just SWAG for short. And I'm a convener of Honorable, a coalition of gender-based actors in the Southeast, in the 5 Southeast states. On the 13th, which was Friday, I received a distress call. The coalition received a distress call that a woman was abducted from her home, and they just said they were policemen, and that was all. They didn't leave any forwarding address where they were going to get the woman and all that. So we started looking for her. At about 4 p.m., I went to the state CID command headquarters, and I got the PPRO's office to raise an APPS, and the radio announcement was took out, and then he kept calling unit by unit. We sustained it for like 20 minutes, and then units started responding, and the state investigation department responded that we should confirm if she was female or male. They have somebody like that. So I went to that department. I saw a woman who was kind of lost, traumatized. She couldn't focus. And I was trying to make connection, make contact, and I called her people and say, I've located this woman here. I say, your people called me, and trying to, so I had to see the unit commander to understand why she was picked up like that. They were telling me a man who turned out to be one of the prosecuting parties working for them was butting in. Anytime I asked her a question, he would butt in. I say, who are you? And we had a tiff. Subsequently, I saw the commander who told me that they received instructions from their head office in Abuja and that the matter is not for him, the matter is headed for Anambra. And I said, he said, fraud, criminal. See, how is that possible? This is an abused, traumatized woman. She can barely talk. How is it possible that this woman could perpetrate everything you people were saying? And at this time, we were just told somebody was picked and we had to look for her and locate her. So we did that. But I was surprised when I was leaving the commander's office. The people who are prosecuting them, so to speak, approached me and said they know that this woman is not involved in any of this. They can give her to me on bail because they've seen that I'm a recognized person around the command. I say, what's really going on here? You took a woman that they have a charge, fraud, malicious damage against her, this woman. And then you're not telling me that I can take her on bail. I do not understand. So subsequently, I told the community. They said, if I can take her, I should take her. And they said she should make a statement. As she was writing, the man was trying to, before the policemen, trying to dictate to her what to write. I got offended again and we quarreled. I had to call the coalition in Anambra. The coalition coordinator is Hope. So I called Hope and said, Hope, I don't know what's happening. They're saying Anambra. At this time, I didn't even know she's from, the husband is Imo, Chimna. The husband is Anambra, she's Imo. So I didn't know it was even the husband's property. So I said, Hope, see what is happening. You people need to do some background check. These are the names. I'm going to forward some basic information I have at this point. And they started making so much uproar. I didn't feel too sure I could provide her. She didn't live in the same jurisdiction as I do. So I left. But I pleaded with them, keep her in the counter. We'll check on her. The next day, we had to bury a widow, help a widow bury her husband. He's been dead for a year. So I was going there, a number called me. As I was leaving, that man who's for the people prosecuting them called me and said, Madam, please, can I have your number? I gave him this number. So I said, this number, my regular number. I explained. And I left. The morning, the number was calling me. He said they've reached an agreement that they need a member of her family to be able to come and take her on bail. I said, okay, I can help do that. So, and I said, I'll call them. I called them. They dispatch people from her family, her nephews, to come and do bail. So whilst we're doing that, I saw that the number they sent and name was male. And everybody around her was male. And I asked my colleague, Faith Obisike, barrister, say, Faith, please, you're not going to this burial with us. Can you go and provide oversight for this woman? I don't know. I still feel she can't talk. She's in shock. She's been heavily traumatized. She can't talk, and that gets me. Something is not right. My gut feeling is speaking to me. So she said, okay. She went. When we finished burial at 2, I called her. She said they were still there. I say reach agreement. I said they are saying this widow 10 million. That they realized that she didn't do any wrong. I said, Then they said they raised an MOU that she will not take them to court. Very, very fraudulent terms. So I said no. We need to find someone who can give us a background story. That's my colleague Faith, by the way. So who can give us a background story on this woman? They finally, she had already signed the MOU by the time we got to see all of this. So we decided that we're not going to let this party have the MOU because it was signing away your life. And she was just saying she wants peace, she's tired, she didn't have a husband, she doesn't have a life, her child is not with her. We're seeing a lot of things, harmful widow practices, we're seeing disinheritance, we're seeing a lot of things. So it became that they made her sign that she will not enter any legal against them, that they will not, but rather she will become their key witness to prosecute her in-laws. So we needed to get a background. What is happening? It was okay that the widow was being offered 10 million, which is good. But subsequently, they paid in only 3 million. And this was night. They didn't do nothing. The next day, we saw a game here. It won't happen here. I went to the commander, we went to the unit commander and the IPU. They say it doesn't concern them. I say, really? that they want to retain us, pay us retainership, whatever it will cost, that we need to protect this widow. You know, a little bit of truth, they will now heap lies, and it was so confusing. That was the one that really got me. When they kept saying they need to retain us, I said, that's not why we're here. And you're Mechabe, and we don't work like that. So eventually, I was able to remember she mentioned the lawyer, and I started asking her family if they knew anything. So we reached that lawyer, and this was by 4 a.m. We decided when we said they were not taking that, they tore the bail bond paper and said they will detain her. We told her not to worry, that we will stay here with her. We ended up spending that whole Saturday. In fact, we slept in our clothes in the state command headquarters with her. So the next day,
That's our mom.
huh? No, this is happening in Owerri, in the state CID headquarters. By that 4 a.m., we reached the lawyer. The lawyer now told us that this matter started since 2020.
Wow.
The family has also been in court. It's not a matter in 5 years now. And boy, it was an awful story. Her husband has a land in Transunkisi, 5 plots of land. Her late husband. Now he died. These people are land speculators. They went to the land registry and saw Otegum here, nobody is doing so. They forged documents. These people, not just that they forged the land paper, they went to the probate registry court and forged a death, what is it called? Claim to declaration of death for both Perpetual and her husband. So they declared this woman dead already. And the husband that is dead, they misquoted the year on 2002. They said 20 to 22 or so. And that this woman is dead, and made themselves the executors of their estate so they can take their land. So picking up Perpetual was a ploy to get her to renounce everything. They didn't know Perpetual was in the picture. So somehow they got to know that there was a C of O. And in that C of O, Perpetual was dead, and the father-in-law. So that's why all this craziness resurfaced. So when we came into it, we took out the opportunity of that MOU somehow. As it is now, we're not even safe, because they've gone with detachment of police to our office, the legal office, her legal office, Faith OBC case legal offices. We've sent a petition to the Inspector General of Police. We'll do the same with the zone, because the inhuman practices is untenable. This woman was taken on Friday, and they kept her. If we didn't find her, she may be just brought to the court in a kangaroo style, and they detain them, which is their aim. But thankfully, we reached partners like Hope, and were able to get the National Human Rights, FIDA, and everybody to come on board, because that's what we do. Collaborative synergy works best. And of course, we got our media partners to get you people together so we can give this matter the kind of focus, priority it demands. It is so sad. It is so sad. It shouldn't happen to anybody. Now they are threatening me subtly. You know, they've come out open to be threatening her. Tomorrow we're going to the state command headquarters. This is justice. We didn't do anything. We just tried to prevent a woman from being exploited any further.
We also spoke with Sylvia Iwejo, a lawyer based in Owerri, to have a perspective on this story.
Sylvia Iwejo, I am a lawyer. Yes, I am the principal partner of Liberty Consults based in Owerri. I came to the Magistrate Court Onitsha, Magistrate Court 2 Onitsha, to represent a client, Mrs. Perpetual Nkwocha, who was arrested by the police at Owerri on Friday. She was arraigned this morning on certain trumped-up charges in court this morning. The court has graciously granted bail to her and to her co-defendant. It's a complicated matter of land speculations where the victim is now being victimized, and instead of her being let go, she's been victimized by the perpetrators of land speculations, or land speculators and land grabbers. So we are in court today in coalition with Onurube and Sisters and SWAG, both are not NGOs, to make sure that injustice is not perpetrated against this widow who knows nothing of the alleged offenses against her. Like I said, the court has graciously granted her bail, but on very severe terms, I must tell you. But we are working towards fulfilling the bail condition and making sure that the woman is not traumatized any further by making sure that she doesn't sleep at the prisons or any further at the police station. Thank you. The woman is from Imo State. She's originally she's married to an Idato man, and she herself is from Mbano. Her husband is late, and she was picked up from Imo State. But the land in question that these land speculators have gone to deal with and causing much trouble with is located at Transinkisi, Onitsha. And that's why the matter is here in Onitsha. Not that the woman is from Anambra State here or resides in Anambra State here, no. Thank you.
Because Mrs. Perpetual Nkwocha wasn't available to speak to newsmen, we were able to talk to a member of her family who replied our questions in Igbo language. I will be translating all that she replied in English.
I'm Grace. Grace of Onagro. I'm onye Ụmụnachi, mana alụ m Amigbo. Ụmụnachi Mbano. Mbano. Mana a na-alụ m Amigbo. Yes.
So Kekagena Perpetual siwe relate.
Perpetual o adannem. Ugbu a ọ nọ ọnọdụ my mother. As my mother, because my mother has died. Yeah.
Your mother?
Yes.
Yeah. So, keyi mala about ihe na-emekita?
Mana about ihe na-emekita ihe gbasara ala, ihe na-eme ha, because the place all already. So ihe awụ ala, as di azụrụ the time ọ dị ndụ. So unfortunately, Wadiya na-achọ ire ya, something like that, without since Friday came in arrest, and then now obi adị mma, because since that time Osaba, no changing of clothes, nothing on n'ime cell since today.
Kikuna onwe reason agwala unu eji mee arrest?
No, onwe
just to be mee arrest.
Yeah, na shop ya.
Okay, we're looking at one day. I don't know if you're saying
like
Kei na choka government may or ndu the naka and the lawyers kei choka emelo nwanne gi nwanyị.
Just ka ekpeze ka ọ lọta ka udo dịrị onye ọbụla lapụ na be. Oju ofu nwa nwanyị.
The female relative to Mrs. Perpetual Nkwocha, who is also as traumatized and as sad for what is happening to her sister, narrated that the case has been on for a while now, and that it's a case of land grabbing. And she also appealed to lawyers, she appealed to policymakers, she also appealed to the authorities to help expedite action so that the matter will be settled. But what will be the case of Mrs. Perpetual Nkwocha, who has been released on bail? She's been granted bail, and according to the lawyer, on severe terms. The case of Mrs. Perpetual Nkwocha is one of those cases where widows are meant to go through harsh experiences because they lost their husbands and because of the properties of their husband, which is also in contention. From the ongoing, it is clear to note that there are lots of reasons why widowhood practices still exist, especially the harmful widowhood practices. Some include superstitious beliefs, state of joblessness of the wife of the deceased, lack of education, failure of men to write a will, lack of respect for womenhood. Implications of the practice on Nigerian widows are enormous. Number 1, economic and dehumanizing effects on the woman, psychological and health effects on the woman, social effects and political effects as well. Just like the relative to Mrs. Perpetual Nkwocha, who explained that she was arrested since Friday, and as at Tuesday, she hasn't bathed, she hasn't eaten, she was just wearing the same clothes that she had on the day she was arrested. A lot can be done to ensure that widows are not meant to face these realities and experiences that keep traumatizing them. There is need for the government to make a legislation prohibiting all the obnoxious widowhood practices. There should be economic empowerment for women. Girl child education should be encouraged. Again, while we are raising the girl child, the boy child should be raised responsibly. Husbands are advised to make adequate provision for their wives and children by leaving behind a will. There is need for all and sundry to show compassion to the widow and her children, because indeed a widow and the child of a dead man reminds every one of us of the deceased. Finally, there should be increasing assistance to widows by non-governmental organizations such as SWAG and Onurubewanne, who have come to the aid of this widow. In conclusion, Nigeria as a nation must enforce and domesticate all international protocols protecting widows, women and children. All existing legal instruments protecting widows should be enforced. In that way, widows will be protected. Thank you so much for joining this podcast. See you in my next podcast.
I'm calling you on my, make you talk my pen.